Hello guys, today I'm going to read about Saved by the Stars, written by Lori Polydraws, illustrated by David Cockcroft. Right, so instead of every single books I read was level U, this was a little bit different. It's more harder. It's at level X, which is, you know, yeah, a great Gallardo book. Lost. Go left, Trayvon shouted. No, go right, Leo yelled. Miguel Ventura pedaled hard, glancing down at the map drawn of the palm of his hand. He had been sweating, and as the sun set, Miguel could barely make out the lines and street names. We would better pull over. The three boys hopped their bikes up a curb and skid into the driveway. I think this line is San Martin Avenue. Miguel pointed to a crease on his palm. No, dude, that's your lifeline. I mean that, said Leo. It's looking pretty short unless you find a baseball field. The black Cobras finally challenged us to the game, said Trevin as he smacked his ball into his glove. And thanks to you, they think we chickened out. I thought it. I mean, it should be right here. You got it lost. Well, Miguel swallowed and glanced down at his sweaty hand. The moisture had erased almost all the ink drawn lines. The sky grew dim and Miguel glanced up, scanning for stars. Sailors from long ago used them to navigate, but the heavens, a muggy gray, has not darkened enough to show even the first star. Oh, how he longed to make a wish. Let's go. Miguel pumped his pedal down another street, but what he thought was a shortcut quickly led to the dead end. The boys swerved down to a side alley. Something creaked behind them. Miguel's heart raced. Trevins and Leo breathed hard as they sped away. Bang! Crash! Trash cans fell. Rats skittered down the gutter. The boys slid out to a stop under the darkened street lamp, crashing into one another like dominoes. Where's the field? Trevin yelled, unwrapping himself from Leo, who looked just as angry as Trevin. Miguel stood up, sweating pouring from under his bike helmet. It should be right here. You need a GPS, man, Leo said. The sun has completely vanished along with Miguel's hope of finding the field. The pressures jumbled Miguel's brain. Street names, intersections, buildings, they all ran together like one big mass of information. The map was useless. The game was totally lost. And so were they. Come on, Leo, Trevin said. We're out of here. Horsing around. Great sense of direction, Leo said the next day at school. Both he and Trevin blamed Miguel for not finding the field. To make things worse, one of the boys from the Black Cobras left rubber chicken in Trevin's backpack. Miguel felt horrible for letting his friends down, but he didn't know what to do to make it up to them. After school, Miguel found himself all alone, so he strolled up to a loft in the back of his family's sandwich shop. It was here that he had found his great-grandpa Gallardo magic books. These books were made the best medicines. By some magic, he could escape into one of the stories which always helped him forget his problems. A new book, Black Beauty, lay atop of the chest. Miguel studied the small golden star and laid on the book's cover. He read the story about his life and treatment of the amazing horse to to his sister Teresa last year. Teresa loves horse. On page 107, Nicholas began to read. Wake up, Beauty. You have to run as fast as you can. This must have been the part where the Black Beauty had to race all night to the doctor. The horse didn't get lost, Nicholas thought to himself. The word danced around the page. Every had before my that I would saddle a no bad what he the on. The word sound is to scramble. What the did you mean? Alright, so he blinked his eyes. Alright, and soon he turned into a horse. Pressure spread across his ribs. Then all went dark. He awoke to the smell of hay in his stable and found himself standing on his stall on four legs. His long black tail switched behind him. Metal horseshoes were tied to each one of his hooves. He had hooves, so that means he's a horse, though. A metal bar ran across his teeth. Every time he bit down, it felt cold and hard, and almost made him gag. Before he could think about being a horse, two men came up from behind him. A younger man in riding gear hopped on his back. Ride as fast as you can, John, said the guy with red black tux sandal. Our mistress' life depends upon it. Right, so he's right now as a black horse, or should I say, black knight. It is like chess, I guess. He gave John a note. Get this to Dr. Wright and be sure to rest his horse. Return as soon as you can. With that, John dug his heels into his sides and off he ran. Down the path and into the hills. Do your best. We must save our mistress' life. Right, so I was reading as a narrator. I don't want to like reading as a like as Miguel. At the start I read as a narrator, but it changed but the book just changed reading from reading a narrator to reading as Miguel. As Black Beauty, it was up to him to save the life of his owner's wife. A rush of adrenaline shot through him, but as he ran ahead, his legs almost froze. What if he couldn't make it like Black Beauty had in the original story? It would be his fault if the mistress died. The weight of that idea was heavier than the rider on his back, but Miguel galloped as hard as he could, knowing that the owner had never let the beauty down. Alright, just like he would never let his friend down. The sun faded as they followed trails that wound through thick pine forest, but he barely noticed his surroundings as John skillfully steered him with the reins. Dear is. His eyelids dropped, his legs ached. They had been riding all night, and he wasn't sure Miguel could go any further. Luckily for him, it wasn't long before they reached Dr. White's house. John pounded at the door, but the doctor didn't come out. He went as loud as he could, but there was no Dr. White to be found. I saw what happened. Finally, after much hollering and banging, a man in his night shirt threw open the window. John explained They're sick. My horse is sick, said the doctor, adjusting his glasses. I must ride back on yours. Miguel's heart dropped. He looked at John. He grimaced, knowing full well how exhausted he was. My horse needs rest, John said, placing a hand on his shoulder. I don't know whether Black Beauty will make it. It's the only way to save the mistress, the doctor said as he picked up on his back case. John was like Beauty's owner in that he could never have allowed the doctor to ride him back without rest, if not for such dire circumstance. After a long drink, his muscles tightened as the old man climbed upon him. Miguel didn't feel as sure of himself on his back as John had. He went and neighed, swished his head and tail. Then he stopped his feet. Settle down, Beauty, John said. This is life or death. Your mistress needs you now more than ever. What? Why didn't it work? A slippery setback. Yeah. The doctor snapped the reins together as he traversed a field. He tapped Miguel's sides with his heels, and he ran forward through the trails and into the meadow. Miguel passed into the pine forest, and the doctor dug his heels into his sides further. As he galloped, a pain spot up my rear leg. Up his rear leg. I'm talking as a narrator, so it might be difficult. As if the tendons were about to snap like rubber hands. His heart thumped, and he breathed out as hard through his nostrils. The chill transformed his breath into steam, and he shuddered. This way, the doctor shouted, pulling him to the right. He ran ahead, every step sending a burst of pain throughout his body. Even this slight man equaled to the weight of 50 sandbags. They passed what felt like 1,000 trees. A weird white froth formed from his mouth. From Miguel's mouth, I guess. He felt the doctor's hand loosen on his reins. He must have been getting tired too. Once out of the forest, they approached a ridge. A fierce wind howled against his face as if he were moving forward against the wall. As they neared a steeply sloping rocky trail, the doctor stopped me. Steady. Doctor stopped him. Steady, he whispered as he gently nudged Miguel into the descent. He tried to place my hooves down solidly, but each step was a crawl. His legs tingled with numbness. Left, right, left. His right hind leg slipped on a piece of shale, and down he went. Alright, so what will happen next? His fall stretched out for what felt like minutes. Gravity tore the doctor to the ground. Miguel's body seemed to drop inch by inch until his side slammed against rocks at the hill bottom. He lay Mirko lay there, his neck and shoulders wet with sweat, wrenching in pain. Somewhere behind me, he heard a doc- behind him, he heard the doctor moan. All he could think about was the mistress and how she wouldn't make it, and it would be his fault. Soon cold blackness overtook his body, but the white hot pain remained. Sightless, crickets chirped in Mirko's ears, and strangely enough, I heard each of them sing in a different. He heard each of them sing in a different key, like a chorus, I guess. He his eyelids fluttered, welcoming in the darkness of night. For the first time, he realized that as a horse, his night vision had improved. He turned his head at movement in the trees, but the plane stopped him. Every square inch of his body hurt, gently pushing from his side. Mirko sat upright and stretched his neck. He flexed his leg. The muscles were stiff like drying cement, but they moved and were not broken. Beardy, a hoarse voice muttered from behind him. The doctor, he was still alive. His voice shook, so Mirko's jumbled thoughts back to reality. Mirko scrambled to his feet, wobbly at first, but stable. After he gained my balance, he searched the streets for the doctor. He lay spread across a bed of pine needles. His hands still clutching the black bag. Mirko nudged him with his muzzle. He didn't move. Mirko licked him on his face and he stirred. Ah, you're a beauty. The doctor arose slowly and came to a distant stance. He squinted, then dropped to the ground, feeling around for something. I lost my glass in the fall. I can't see a thing. His glasses. Mirko swerved his head around and tried to paw the ground, but it was useless without fingers. I got him, the doctor shouted, but before he could slip his glass on, his face dropped, and I knew exactly why. And he knew exactly why. The lens had fallen out in the crashing the game. He glanced around, then walked over and stroked his neck. It's up to you now, Beauty. Get us home. Take us to the mistress. Doctor wiped his feet in the stirrups and climbed onto Mirko's back. Looked to the sky. Fear spread across Mirko like an icy blanket. They were lost. And now he would let the doctor and his mistress down just like Mirko had Trevin and Leo. A long neigh reverberated from my throat and ended from his throat and ended as he blew a big burst of air out his nostrils. He had the urge to rear up and run away. Alright, so this part where I knew this part right here, he had Trevin and Leo. That's what I. That's what the part made me. This was the part where I knew that Migos was talking. And soon after, all right, well, Beauty, the doctor said, you can do this. His words calmed Miguel, seeping down into his body like medicine. He took one step forward, then another. The doctor squeezed his sides just enough to get him into a full gallop. The pine needles brushed against his face. Think, Miguel told himself, stay calm and think. But the fork in the rope brought him to an abrupt halt. Which way, doctor? He tried to shout, but all that came out were grunts. As he swung his head back and forth, but both paths looked the same. He had no idea where to go. He couldn't remember the way John and he had to come. He pawed the ground with his hooves. Use your sense, Beauty, Dr. White said. You know the way home. He felt totally senseless. His body went limp. He hung his head, and that's when he remembered the golden star that he found with the book. Then Miguel caught sight of glittering reflection in a nearby stream. The water rippled and twinkled, ever so slightly, and reflected the star above. Ideas in his brain ignited like sparks in dry brush. The stream ended in a lake at the manor. Of course, he needed to follow the water. We're going home, Miguel yelled, which came out in long, happy neigh. I shook my head and leapt in circles. Well, Beauty, the doctor yelled, laughing and slowing to the reins. He stood in front of the fork in the road, and he turned to the right. For the sparkling waters shine proudly next to him. Off he ran, through the darkness, into the hills, to the manor, to his mistress. Here, the doctor yelled. And with that, he found himself back in the loft, his heart still racing. He stood up and leapt in the circles again. Nay, he yelled, climbing downstairs and into the shop. There, Miguel found Trevin and Leo staring at him. What are you so happy about? Oh, nothing, Miguel said. Why are you guys here? Alright, so back at the narrator again. The Black Corpus gave us another chance, Trevor said. 6:30 tonight, Leo said. And we got the map, see? He fumbled through his backpack and pulled out a yellow sheet of paper. That's not a map, that's your math homework, Nichols said, laughing. What? They searched the back. I must have turned the map instead of my homework. Leo stomped his foot. Miguel laughed again. What are you laughing at? Trevor asked. Nothing. We're going to miss the game again, Leo said. No, don't worry, guys. Miguel grabbed his glove and walked toward the door. You got me. Alright, finally. I done it. I did it. Alright, so thank you for watching, and yeah, have a great day.